Many individuals reaching their senior years often ponder the advisability of extensive travel after the age of 70. While immersing oneself in new cultures and exploring uncharted territories promises exciting experiences, a range of serious dangers often go unnoticed until a senior directly encounters them. As years pass, the human body and cognitive functions undergo natural changes that can make any journey significantly more exhausting, unpredictable, and even life-threatening. Some individuals mistakenly believe they can maintain the same pace and activity levels they enjoyed in their youth. However, the reality is that after 70, travel presents unique challenges that can transform a long-awaited vacation into an extremely stressful and, at times, critically health-threatening ordeal. This article will thoroughly examine 5 key factors contributing to the increased risks of travel in old age. These risks range from sudden medical complications to disguised financial traps that can significantly deplete savings. Each point aims to help readers gain a deeper understanding of the difficulties seniors face while traveling. By the end of this material, readers will have a comprehensive understanding of why travel at this stage of life demands exceptional foresight, and they will learn about measures to ensure personal safety if the decision to travel is still made. The final reason on the list is an aspect many senior travelers rarely consider, yet is one of the most common sources of financial loss, wasted time, and emotional distress during trips. 1. Increased health risks and the likelihood of medical emergencies. One of the most significant challenges faced by individuals over 70 during travel is the substantially increased risk of sudden health deterioration. Over time, the human body becomes less predictable in its reactions, and previously controlled conditions such as heart disease, hypertension, or chronic respiratory ailments can unexpectedly escalate into acute crises. In a familiar home environment, obtaining prompt, qualified medical care presents few difficulties. However, far from home, especially in unfamiliar territory or abroad, access to adequate treatment can be significantly complicated. Even a minor ailment, which would be easily resolved under normal circumstances, can rapidly escalate into a serious and, at times, life-threatening condition when one is away from their regular healthcare provider. For a significant portion of older adults, the likelihood of medical emergencies is not a theoretical concept, but a very tangible threat. Long-haul flights, for instance, can substantially increase the probability of blood clot formation, medically known as deep vein thrombosis. Being at high altitudes can place significant strain on the cardiovascular and respiratory systems, which is particularly critical for individuals with pre-existing chronic conditions. Even seemingly simple conditions like dehydration or heat stroke can manifest with much greater intensity and have more severe consequences in an unfamiliar climate. Furthermore, older adults have reduced immunity and are therefore more susceptible to infections, meaning contact with new strains of bacteria and viruses in various geographical locations can trigger sudden and sometimes severe illnesses. As an illustration, consider the case of James, a 74-year-old man who had a lifelong passion for travel. He meticulously planned a 2-week ocean cruise with his wife, believing it would be an ideal way to explore new places without significant physical exertion. However, on the 4th day of the voyage, he suddenly experienced acute chest pains. The ship's medical team could only provide primary care, but it became clear he urgently needed hospitalization. Since the liner was in the open ocean, James had to wait for emergency evacuation to the nearest port, which delayed specialized treatment for several critical hours. Fortunately, his life was saved, but the incident deeply shook him. What was initially conceived as a dream vacation turned into a nightmarish ordeal, which, as he later admitted, could have been prevented had he more scrupulously assessed the potential dangers. The issue of medical insurance presents another significant problem. Many older adults mistakenly believe their standard health insurance policy will remain valid and provide coverage anywhere they travel worldwide, only to discover too late that their insurance does not cover treatment outside their home country. Without proper travel insurance, the costs of visiting medical facilities, undergoing emergency surgeries, and even purchasing basic medications can result in colossal financial burdens that must be paid from personal savings. Some older citizens end up spending thousands of dollars just to receive necessary medical care outside their country. So, what should someone over 70 do if they are considering traveling? It is crucial to consult with your primary care physician beforehand. Undergo a complete medical examination, discuss all potential travel-related risks, and ensure you have all necessary medications. It is always recommended to thoroughly research the healthcare system at your destination. And when planning international trips, ensure you have a comprehensive travel insurance policy that covers emergency medical evacuation and inpatient treatment. In health matters, thorough preparation can be the decisive factor determining whether a trip goes smoothly or turns into a disaster. Maintaining good health is one of the most important aspects of a fulfilling life after 70. However, while medical risks are a serious concern, they're not the only reason why travel in old age can be dangerous. 2. Increased exposure to infections and contaminants. One of the most underestimated dangers associated with travel after 70 is the significantly increased risk of exposure to pathogenic microorganisms, viruses, and foodborne pathogens. Crowded airports, cramped airplane cabins, public transportation, and unfamiliar dining establishments all create ideal conditions for the active reproduction and spread of bacteria and viruses. For young travelers, a mild cold or temporary stomach upset might be a minor inconvenience. However, for older adults, such infections can lead to serious complications, hospitalization, or even long-term health problems. Just one trip can expose a senior to more disease-causing agents than they typically encounter in several months at home. In some cases, an older person's immune system simply isn't strong enough to effectively combat these threats. With age, the human immune system naturally weakens, making recovery from infections significantly more difficult. Respiratory illnesses pose a particular danger to older adults. Numerous studies confirm that seniors are significantly more likely to experience complications from influenza, pneumonia, and even common colds, especially when exposed to new strains of viruses in different regions of the world. Airplanes, in particular, are known breeding grounds for germs. Passengers often sit in close proximity to each other, breathing recirculated air for many hours. Since airports process people from all corners of the globe daily, the likelihood of encountering viruses with which the body has not previously had contact significantly increases. Then there is the issue of food and water safety. Many travelers enjoy trying new dishes in different countries. However, for older adults, unfamiliar ingredients, spices, and cooking methods can trigger digestive upsets. Foodborne illnesses such as norovirus, E. coli, and salmonella can affect older adults much more severely, leading to prolonged illness, dehydration, and significant weakening of the immune system. While locals may have developed some immunity to bacteria present in their tap water, travelers often lack the same protection. Something as simple as drinking tap water or eating a salad washed in local water can lead to serious intestinal infections. Public restrooms, hotel rooms, and rental vehicles are also places where germs actively linger. Many people mistakenly believe that if a place looks clean, it is safe. However, surfaces such as door handles, seat belts, and tray tables are rarely disinfected with the necessary thoroughness. Older adults using mobility aids like canes or walkers are at even greater risk, as they more frequently touch public surfaces for balance. So, how can older adults protect themselves if travel is unavoidable? Taking extra precautions is paramount. Wearing a protective mask in crowded places, frequent and thorough hand washing, and using hand sanitizer can significantly reduce the risk of contracting harmful microbes. Consuming only bottled or filtered water, avoiding raw foods in unfamiliar places, and choosing well-cooked meals can help prevent food poisoning. For those traveling abroad, recommended vaccinations and having necessary medications for stomach issues or respiratory infections are essential. Staying healthy while traveling is entirely possible, but it requires vigilance, thorough preparation, and maintaining a strong immune system. However, health risks are not the only concern. There is another reason why travel after 70 can be more of a burden than a joy, and it's something that can affect not only your well-being, but also your financial resources and peace of mind. 3. Travel fatigue and recovery challenges. Travel, at first glance, may seem exciting and full of adventure. However, for older adults over 70, the physical toll associated with it can be significantly greater than anticipated. Long flights, the need for early check-ins, unpredictable public transport schedules, and hours of walking can lead to profound exhaustion, from which the body finds it extremely difficult to recover. Unlike younger years, when a full night's sleep could completely restore energy, older adults often find that fatigue persists for several days or even weeks after a trip concludes. When the body is exhausted, all other systems suffer. Immune function weakens, coordination deteriorates, and the risk of illness or injury significantly increases. One of the most serious problems older adults face while traveling is the disruption of their usual sleep patterns. Sleeping in an unfamiliar bed, noisy hotels, or the need to adapt to different time zones can make restful sleep almost impossible. Lack of sleep is not just a feeling of tiredness. It negatively impacts mental acuity, weakens the immune system, and even increases the risk of heart problems. Studies show that older adults crossing multiple time zones often require significantly more time to adjust, meaning the effects of jet lag can be felt much longer than expected. This lingering fatigue can turn an otherwise pleasant trip into a grueling experience, leaving travelers drained instead of refreshed. Then there's the issue of physical strain. Prolonged sitting on a plane, bus, or train can lead to muscle stiffness, swollen joints, and an increased risk of blood clots. For older adults suffering from arthritis or circulatory problems, extended travel time can cause discomfort that lingers long after the journey ends. Even upon arrival at the destination, the physical demands of sightseeing, carrying luggage, and adhering to a packed schedule can quickly become overwhelming. What begins as an exciting vacation can rapidly turn into a struggle just to keep pace. Consider the case of Richard, a 75-year-old man who always had a passion for travel. After retiring, he and his wife planned a 2-week overseas vacation, assuming it would be as enjoyable as their trips in previous years. However, after a 10-hour flight, navigating a crowded airport, and adjusting to a 6-hour time difference, Richard felt exhausted before the trip even truly began. By the second day, he found it difficult to walk long distances, struggled to stay alert during excursions, and discovered he needed frequent breaks. By the time he finally adjusted, it was almost time to return home, and he spent the next few weeks recovering from the trip instead of enjoying the memories. Another challenge older adults face is maintaining their usual diet and adequate hydration. Many destinations offer unfamiliar foods that can cause digestive issues, and staying hydrated while constantly on the move is often overlooked. Dehydration alone can lead to fatigue, dizziness, and confusion, turning even simple activities into a struggle. Combined with poor sleep and physical strain, it's easy to see why many older adults feel worse after a trip rather than refreshed. So what's the solution? If travel is unavoidable, older adults should plan for ample rest days, stay hydrated, and avoid overscheduling consecutive activities. Shorter flights with layovers for stretching, packing nutritious snacks, and dedicating time for proper sleep can also help mitigate exhaustion. Most importantly, it's about acknowledging personal limitations and adjusting travel plans accordingly, because a vacation should be a source of enjoyment, not something you need weeks to recover from. The physical toll of travel is a significant concern for seniors, but it's not the only hidden danger. 4. Increased risk of falls and injuries. One of the most significant dangers associated with travel after 70 is the substantially increased risk of falls and injuries. As we age, our balance, reflex speed, and bone density naturally decline, making us more vulnerable to accidents. While a minor stumble in a familiar home environment might seem insignificant, a fall while traveling, especially in an unfamiliar place, can lead to broken bones, the need for serious hospitalization, or even permanent mobility issues. The reality is that just one fall can drastically alter an older person's life trajectory, turning a relaxing trip into a painful and costly ordeal. Many older adults do not realize how much travel environments can differ from what they are used to. Hotels, cruise ships, and historical sites often feature uneven floors, poorly lit staircases, or slippery surfaces, significantly increasing the likelihood of a fall. Some tourist destinations have few or no accommodations for people with disabilities, meaning simple actions like boarding a bus or walking on cobblestone streets can turn into unexpected hazards. In many regions of the world, emergency medical services are not as prompt or developed as in one's home country, meaning even a minor injury might take longer to treat, increasing the risk of complications. Consider the case of Linda, a 78-year-old woman who had always dreamed of visiting Europe. She was in excellent physical shape for her age and regularly took walks around her neighborhood without any difficulty. However, upon arriving in Italy and beginning to navigate the steep, uneven streets, she quickly realized it wasn't as easy as she had imagined. One evening, while stepping off a curb in a dimly lit alley, she lost her balance and fell hard, breaking her hip. She was rushed to a local hospital, where doctors informed her that surgery was necessary. Not only did she have to cut her trip short, but she also spent months in rehabilitation after returning home. What was supposed to be the trip of a lifetime turned into an experience she later regretted. Another important factor is fatigue. Travel often involves long days, irregular meal schedules, and disrupted sleep patterns, all of which can negatively impact balance and coordination. When the body is exhausted, reaction times slow down, increasing the likelihood of a misstep or stumble. For older adults suffering from arthritis or joint pain, prolonged walking through airports, train stations, or tourist sites can cause swelling and discomfort, increasing the risk of sudden instability. So, how can older adults reduce the risk if travel is necessary? Choosing destinations with good accessibility for those with limited mobility, avoiding high-risk areas with uneven terrain, and always wearing appropriate, comfortable footwear can significantly help. Canes, supportive shoes, and adequate rest can also make a big difference. Above all, recognizing personal physical limitations and adjusting travel plans accordingly is crucial, because no trip is worth sacrificing one's long-term mobility and independence. 5. Travel insurance and financial risks. One of the most unexpected dangers of travel after 70 is not just health-related, but also involves significant financial risks. Many older adults mistakenly assume that if problems arise during a trip, they can simply rely on their insurance or personal savings. However, the reality is that travel-related medical emergencies, trip cancellations, and even financial scams can drain a person's bank account much faster than they realize. For many older citizens, one unforeseen event can turn a carefully planned trip into a true financial nightmare, leaving them with enormous expenses and significant stress. One of the biggest financial risks is overseas medical care. Many older adults do not realize that their regular health insurance often does not cover medical expenses in foreign countries. This means that if a person falls ill or gets injured while traveling, they could be responsible for thousands of dollars in medical bills. Even in countries where healthcare is more affordable, emergency medical evacuation, such as air transport to a suitable hospital, can cost tens of thousands of dollars. Without properly arranged travel insurance, older adults may find themselves in a situation where they either have to pay a huge bill out of pocket or go without necessary medical attention. Then there's the issue of trip cancellations. Many older adults book trips months in advance, assuming they will be in good health when it's time to depart. However, life is unpredictable. Health problems can arise suddenly, requiring a planned trip to be postponed or canceled altogether. Unfortunately, many airlines, hotels, and cruise lines have strict policies that do not provide refunds for last-minute cancellations. This means that older adults can lose thousands of dollars if they have to change their plans. Without proper trip cancellation insurance, recovering these funds can be almost impossible. Beyond medical expenses and cancellations, there's another serious financial risk: scams. Older adults are often targets for unscrupulous fraudsters who prey on travelers, using tactics such as offering fake taxi services, overcharging for simple goods, or even elaborate schemes designed to steal credit card information. Many scammers specifically look for older individuals who appear unfamiliar with their surroundings, knowing they are less likely to notice deception in real time. In some cases, criminals take advantage of seniors' trusting nature, offering fraudulent travel deals that turn out to be nothing more than a costly trap. Consider the case of George, a 76-year-old man who had always been careful with his money. He booked a dream vacation to a tropical island, ensuring he had set aside enough funds for every part of the trip. However, when he arrived at his destination, he was horrified to discover that the hotel he had booked did not exist. He had fallen victim to a sophisticated online scam, and by the time he realized what had happened, his funds were irrevocably lost. Finding himself without a place to stay, he was forced to hastily search for alternative accommodation, which cost him twice his original plans just to have a place to sleep. What should have been a relaxing trip turned into a heavy financial burden that continued to overshadow his life even after returning home. How can older adults protect themselves from such risks? First, always thoroughly check whether your current health insurance covers international travel, and if not, it is advisable to invest in a reliable travel insurance policy that includes coverage for medical emergencies and trip cancellation risks. Second, when booking travel, use only reputable and verified companies and exercise extreme caution regarding offers that seem too good to be true. Third, while traveling, be exceptionally vigilant with your finances. Avoid carrying large amounts of cash. Be mindful of who has access to your credit card information, and never trust strangers with personal financial details. While travel can be exciting, these financial risks clearly demonstrate that after 70, special foresight is required. Unforeseen expenses, the threat of financial loss due to fraudulent activities, and the absolute unpredictability of medical emergencies turn travel into a kind of gamble that not every older person is prepared for. But does this mean one should completely give up on travel? Not all. Concluding thoughts. This article has thoroughly examined 5 key factors that contribute to the serious risks of travel after 70, which many older adults do not consider until they encounter them directly. From sudden health problems and injuries to exhaustion, infectious diseases, and financial pitfalls, each of these issues can transform a peaceful vacation into an extremely burdensome and, at times, dangerous experience. While travel may seem like an exciting way to spend retirement years, the reality is that after a certain age, it requires significantly more meticulous planning, heightened caution, and deep awareness than in younger years. But does this mean older adults should never travel? Absolutely not. It simply means that for those over 70, the approach to organizing trips must undergo significant changes. Instead of exhausting long-haul flights, stressful tours, and risky destinations, perhaps preference should be given to closer and safer options that do not place excessive strain on the body. Exploring local attractions, taking shorter trips, or focusing on destinations that provide easy access to qualified medical care can make a huge difference in ensuring safety and enjoyment. The purpose of travel is to enrich life, not to create new difficulties that linger long after the trip ends. If you or a loved one are considering traveling after 70, take the time to deeply reflect on the potential challenges. Is your health stable enough to handle the demands of the trip? Do you have properly arranged travel insurance to protect against financial risks? Have you chosen a safe and accessible destination for your needs? These questions may seem uninteresting, but honest answers to them can prevent unnecessary stress and significant difficulties in the future. Ultimately, longevity is not just about extending life. It is first and foremost about ensuring the high quality of those years, preserving independence, and maintaining peace of mind. If avoiding unnecessary trips means staying healthier and safer, then it is advisable to carefully reevaluate the risks before booking your next flight.